Good morning. Good morning. Hi, my name is Marjorie Wormser. I will be your Sunday associate this morning, and welcome to the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, where we covenant together to weave together the fabric of community from the strands of our separate lives. We are a vibrant, inclusive, welcoming, justice-seeking congregation, and whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. We adhere to the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism. Well, we adhere to the principles. There have been 7, there may be 8 coming, of Unitarian Universalism, and there's a newcomer card in the back of the chair in front of you. Please feel free to take that with you if you are a newcomer. And if you haven't already, stop by the welcome table in the Great Hall this morning. This is a great time to silence any noise-making devices before we start this morning's service. And now we have something from Reverend Joel.
Before we light our chalice and get fully into our worship, I was asked this morning to do a testimonial with you from by our Deeper Roots, Wider Wings campaign leadership. And I think Deeper Roots and Wider Wings is the perfect name for this project that you have had, which has what led up to it, this parking lot, the beautiful new entrance. Today we're celebrating the completion of your roof. That's why we have these lovely beads, red, celebrating not just Valentine's Day, but perhaps Fellowship Valentine's Day as well. You know, just day before yesterday, I was at a meeting with the ministers from metropolitan New York and all of New Jersey. I met 2 ministers there, both who came out of this congregation. Jude Geiger, who came out of this congregation in the 1990s. And he told me stories about things that have happened in these walls, in this sacred space. Friday nights, 300 or 400 people in these rooms. All of these rooms, they must have been falling out the windows. There were so many people. People who knew they could come here, and even though they may have lived at that time in a world that they felt didn't want them, they knew they could come to sacred space and be loved and be themselves and be cherished. That's the kind of work this fellowship did. And Jude, having come here for these LGBTQ gatherings every Friday night in the 90s, and then discovering Unitarian Universalism, and then getting a job actually as your custodian, and became a Unitarian Universalist minister. He serves in Brooklyn now. Or I met Lori, who serves in a congregation in upstate New York, runs a newspaper, grew up here even before this meeting hall was built, talked about how important it was to be with the adults and be in a building that was so packed with people. People must have been falling out the windows. She talked about how the roof leaked, by the way. Apparently it was leaking for a long time. So as an interim minister, when I'm looking at congregations, it's a 2-week interview period. Congregations and interim ministers get together very quickly. And I looked at what this congregation's dreams are, what its ministry is. We're maybe months away from a new wing being constructed. The new roof was about to go on. The parking, I did a Google Street View and looked at the site, and there was this lovely building, and then there was this kind of muddy parking lot. But when I actually got here, it's a beautiful parking lot. This place looks good. I was excited. You have these plans for the future, plans to continue to do ministry in new ways, to create a space, a sacred space that continues to serve the world, and excitement about who you are and who you can become. And I thought, well, I want to go there. And when I got here, actually, I think it was Helene and Shari sat down with me and showed me the plans for the new wing, and it's really very cool, and I was very excited about it, and then they asked if I would contribute toward it. Now, I have to tell you that I know that the time schedule for this project would mean, if I'm lucky, I'll be around to walk through the doors when there's a certificate of occupancy, but I might not even make the dedication. But I'm so excited about it. Let me tell you, I am so excited about what you're doing, and so impressed with your commitment that I pledged to your capital campaign, Deeper Roots and Wider Wings. I'll probably say this a lot from this Sunday on. I've seen how our congregations save lives. And with the kind of legacy of care and love that's been here, and the dedication and the commitment I see here now, I know you're going to go out and save more lives. You have been saving lives. I'm going to tell you more about how I know that. How could I not support you in your dreams, in your work? I'm very proud to be a part of it this morning.
I have a few brief announcements to share this morning. Following today's service, there will be a roof ribbon cutting ceremony here in the meeting room. Please stay for this and enjoy a special coffee hour immediately after. Yes, we're going to celebrate a big accomplishment. Also today, the Odyssey program will feature Steve Runyon this afternoon at 12:45 in this room and online through Zoom. There is still a need for additional children's religious education teachers. Greatest need is in the pre-K and first grade group. I guess those are 4 and 5-year-olds. I think I taught them some years ago. And also 6th and 7th grade classes. If you're interested, please reach out to Nick. Nick is here in case you haven't met him. And finally, the Fund Committee is starting Meals with UU Friends 2023. If you're interested in restaurant get-togethers with fellowship members, friends, and newcomers, please complete and return a registration form that can be found at the welcome table out in the Great Hall. Thank you.
I'm talking about soul spaces today. For some of us, that might be, what do we mean by a soul? I don't know exactly what a soul is, but I do know what soul feels like. It's that feeling when I walk in the doors, and I see you and the excitement, the love that's here. Soul is that feeling when I walk in and I see this new banner and I'm like, oh my gosh, and think about all of the people who have seen that over the years. Soul are the banners outside on the walls proclaiming Black Lives Matter, and that even transgender and non-binary people are welcome in a community like this. Soul is being part of a people who aspire to meet people where they are and cherish them for who they are and welcome them into beloved community and life. I first really began to understand something about soul spaces. The congregation I grew up in was beloved to me, and I've mentioned that before. One of the things about that congregation, they had a building that they had built. It was a lovely building on about 7 acres of beautiful land, very similar size of amount of land as here. And they had built a building with a flat roof. And sometimes there's issues with flat roofs, and this flat roof always seemed to have a leak, and it wouldn't go into the ceiling. It would just go in between the layers of the roof, and it got a little smelly. And so for me, there was always this, I would walk in there because it meant so much to me, and there'd be that old, familiar, musty smell, and I'd say, oh, I'm at home. I don't know if that's soul or not, but a musty smell. But I did know something about soul spaces because I was at the congregation I grew up in one Sunday after the service, and a young mom was there. She had a child in one arm and a child in a stroller, and she was staring at a wall in which we had literature. What is a Unitarian Universalist? What do we think about prayer? What are all the different kind of beliefs that we have? And as she looked at this, her hands were shaking, and she stared for a minute, and I walked up. I wondered if she was okay. And she looked at me and suddenly said, I've been looking for a place like this all of my life. I didn't know it was possible. That I just thought maybe it was a dream. And you're here. You're really, really here. And she, baby and all, just hugged me and held me for as hard and long as she could. I don't know what soul is, but I know how it feels. And when I walk into a place beloved to me, and I know that I am with a people who are offering the same to others as we give to ourselves, there's got to be a lot of soul there. It's good to be with you and thinking about what it is to be in a place of soul. We are going to light our chalice now, a symbol of our gathering, and Alistair is going to help me light the chalices this morning. And I invite you to say our affirmation as we light the chalice. Love is the spirit of this fellowship.
And service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Thank you. I invite you to sing with me at this time. Here we have gathered. If you would like to sing out of the book, it's number 360 in the gray hymnals. I invite you to stand in body or spirit.
Here we have gathered
Please be seated. I'd like to invite children or anyone who feels young at heart to come up with and share with me this morning, this time for all ages. Yeah, come on up. It's good to see you guys. Yeah, look at that. 288 pages of epic awesome. That is good. Hi there. I wanted to sing two songs with you this morning. You know, the first one we just sang, Here We Have Gathered. This other song is one of my favorites. It's kind of about buildings. It's about walls and roofs. But it's about what happens when we're together in a place like this meeting hall, the fellowship, or when you're in the classrooms together. Sometimes it's easier to remember songs than it is even stories. So let's think a little differently. And I wanted just to sing this with you. It's actually number one for those who like to read the music. And I'm just going to first, you see there's four, we sing it through 4 times. And the first time we sing it, may nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. May the roar and the rain go by. And what that means is that we hope that when you're here, you're feeling loved and happy and having fun and learning things, and that we don't want any bad luck to come our way. And we hope all the rain and the crazy cold from yesterday just doesn't come inside. We want peace to walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. Can you imagine if we had it'd be pretty, there'd be a lot of candles around if we had like a flaming chalice lit in every corner. So I'm going to sing this with you. We'll go a little bit slower so that you can learn some of it. And then on the fourth one, you can take your chalice with you and head to your classes. I'm going to get the words up so the adults can sing with us too. So just one more time with this first part of the song. May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry About these windows may the roar and rain go by. It'll take a while to learn it if you don't know it yet, but we'll sing it again many times so you can learn it. This hymnal is going to have a sticker in it. All right. We're going to sing the fourth verse. You guys can go to class. There's some really cool things up here, like ceremonial scissors for the ribbon later, and some bags with some cool things to thank some of our folks who've been working so hard. And it's a milestone day, I think, for this fellowship as a whole, to have a roof you know isn't leaking anymore. It's a beautiful roof. Thank you. We celebrate these milestones, and we do it in the context of a worship service or a Sunday service in which we're gathered to think and to feel and to make sense of the world and to bond deeply with one another. And in the moment of speaking milestones, or perhaps just sharing them silently together, we give them a better meaning, a deeper meaning, one we hope to integrate into our lives. We hope to see and be seen with one another in a most profound, sacred even way. And so I have a couple of milestones and passages to share with you this morning. Nancy Lee McClure says, "Hi" from Care 1. She had been in the hospital for some time. She's in Care 1 now, getting over not just some medical care, but some COVID as well at the same time. So hopefully she'll be home very soon. And a most delightful passage and milestone. Kylie Garabed and Jenna Diefenbacher are engaged to get married. Congratulations. Some of our newest members, and we're just so tickled. And when we gather, we share, of course, in silence with our hearts, our presence with one another, support for all the passages we have made, are making, and will make in the time to come. I invite us to settle in now to a moment of meditation or contemplation or prayer as fits for us. All that we have been separately and all that we will become together is stretched out before and behind us like stars scattered across a canvas of sky. And we stand now at the edge, arms locked together like tandem skydivers, working up the courage to jump, to make a leap. Tell me, friends, what have we got to lose? Our fear of failure? To lose a mistrust of our own talents? What have we got to lose? A poverty of spirit? Or that cosmic lie that we are alone? Wonders await us in that space between the first leap and the moment our feet, our wheels, or however we move our bodies across this precious earth. That moment from first leap to touchdown on unknown soil. What have we got to lose that we cannot replace with some previously unimagined joy? Blessed are you, Spirit of life, who sustains us, enlivens us, encourages us, and has brought us to this moment. Give us courage in our leaping and gratitude in our landing. And share with us in the joy of a long and fruitful ministry, a legacy handed down to us, and one we hand on to the future. For all we are and bring and seek and aspire to. Amen. So be it. Blessed be.
Now is the time in our service where we give and receive our weekly offering. We believe that generosity changes lives. It changes the lives of people in our community, and it changes our own lives in the giving. You can donate via text to give at the number 73256, keyword MUUF, and the dollar amount, or online. And today's offering will be donated 100% as a special collection to our partner church in Romania, which hosts origins of Unitarian Universalism, Unitarianism, in Transylvania, which is now the Hungarian-speaking part of Romania. For 30 years, this fellowship has cultivated a collegial and mutually supportive relationship with the Unitarian congregation there, including a yearly Christmas gift and several visits to their congregation. You can read all about this by following the link in this week's email blast or by searching Partner Church on our home website or the members menu on the homepage. So please visit the Partner Church corner in the library out these doors and to the left, which was refreshed this summer, and our gift means a lot to them, as you can see from the minister's greeting and thank you letter, which is posted there. Please be generous. Every bit makes a huge difference. Thank you.
Beth. I'm kind of fond of that song because I'm of a generation where we would sing that in youth group. Brings back good memories for me. I was telling a little bit of some memories that I have. Just about, I think, maybe a year and a half ago, a youth in the congregation I was serving in Indianapolis was describing the congregation that he was growing up in, and the one I happened to be serving at that moment, as a place where he had learned how to grow and to keep growing, and a place where everybody was learning to practice loving kindness. He talked about how much his congregation meant to him. And as he was talking about his congregation, I realized, again, it was a soul space. They had made themselves into a soul space. A soul space might be the walls and the roof of like this meeting hall or the new fellowship hall, but the soul spaces we build out of bricks and roofing asphalt and wood and concrete. Those soul spaces are, for me, the spaces that hold the most sacred soul spaces, if you will, the ones that live in us, the ones we sometimes create for one another, within one another. This is how I know about soul spaces, because, I left this beloved congregation I grew up in that I've mentioned many times. One of the things that surprised me so much was I thought I could just take them with me. And I did, in a way, take them with me. I took them with me in the way they existed in 1988. And each year that went by, I realized how much I missed them. There was this soul space within me that they had left. George Whitney, who was, as I am in this very moment, giving a sermon, and, well, there was a lot of noise as kids were playing tag in the hallway next to the sanctuary, led by yours truly. And he stopped the sermon, walked out the side door, and took me by the shoulder and took me to the DRE and said, "Deal with this." And then later got to know me very well and gave me an interest in technology and ham radio. There are the congregations that have come since, too. I was loved and beloved in California by a congregation where I was an intern and learned about ministry. And the chair of the intern committee for student ministers, as I was a student, he was the chair of my committee, and suddenly he got a terrible disease, and he spent the last half of chairing my internship in the hospital, and he died toward the end of it. And I remember him taking my hand shortly before he died and saying, "Thank you, and it's going to be okay." A Glenn-spaced soul space within me. There's congregations in New York, a congregation in Oregon, one in Louisiana. People in these beloved communities have created spaces in my soul. And as an interim minister, I do what interim ministers do. I leave. I come, I stay, we love one another, and then I leave. Not sure how much I can keep doing that, to be honest. You have created wonderful soul spaces with and among each other, with your ministers, your religious educators, your musicians, with each other. You can feel it when you walk into a building. You can feel the way in which there's a possibility of love and of growth and even of loss. Something an interim minister knows is that when a soul space becomes empty suddenly, the place that a beloved minister has or a beloved friend has, when they suddenly become empty, Reverend Allison Miller left for Portland. Paul Ratz left and served a congregation on Long Island. I did a memorial for Judy Oler last fall. And these empty spaces, they don't feel right. They're uncomfortable. And minister-shaped soul spaces never feel right, and congregations often want to rush and fill them up or package them somehow and put them on a shelf. Some congregations respond a different way, and they make memorials out of the soul spaces and make the edges around them very hard. Soul spaces are there to keep growing and help us in our ministry, even as they are uncomfortable. I have found over the years the attempt to fill the spaces or to package them away will be unsuccessful. An Allison Miller-shaped soul space can't be filled by any future minister. It just is the space it is. The space of those people in Columbus, Ohio still exists within me, and I think I do more ministry from that space than any other. I think soul spaces are where our ministries are born. Soul spaces are created by the love of people and the love of communities. They're people-shaped, congregation-shaped, community-shaped. And yet I miss them so much. I miss them all. I have many, many good memories. A great sense of satisfaction of encountering the difficulties and the difficult moments and growing from them, making changes, learning new ways of encountering life. We minister from those spaces to one another and to ourselves. So, as an interim minister, and I'm standing up here and I talk about those spaces, and I've mentioned, I'm pre-fired as an interim. I can't stay. But I'm not saying goodbye. I'm here for another 18 months. It's not time to say goodbye, but a time to note what it is to be in a space of possibilities like this, and how it makes spaces of possibility, how it nurtures that within each of us. One of the things about those soul spaces that is so important is that we save lives from those spaces. This fellowship saves lives. Every congregation I have served has saved a life. At least one, I know, because somebody has come up to me from every congregation I have served and said, this is how this congregation saved my life. And they're really not talking kind of like metaphorically, and they aren't really just telling a nice story. They really mean it. That is also my experience of the congregation I grew up in. People pour their lives and their love into congregations because they do, in fact, save lives. I know this. There were the transgender kids in Rochester. It was the one place where everyone, including even the oldest adults, would look at them with love and appreciation for who they were and who they were becoming. In Oregon, there was a woman whose husband and children died in a bizarre and terrible accident. And the congregation loved her and brought her back from the depths of despair. There was the woman from a very rural Unitarian Universalist congregation and told me that church was the only community where she felt like she was at home. It's the only place that had ever been home. All these people, their lives saved by a congregation. The importance of this became really immediate to me. It was about, I think, just about 10 years ago. I was invited back to speak at the 25th anniversary celebration of the Columbine Unitarian Universalist Church in Littleton, Colorado. I had helped start that congregation. I was the founding minister along with the founding lay leaders of that congregation in 1992. After we had gotten the congregation started, we had a rental space, and early on we put a rainbow flag on the roof of this building. And immediately, this neighborhood in the Denver area can be very conservative. There are these large evangelical congregations there, and they like to think that they really set the tone and create the culture of this neighborhood. They actually don't, but they like to think they do. And when that rainbow flag went up, immediately we started getting kind of nasty phone calls, really, that made us all the more determined. We decided we would have a gay and lesbian choir come and do a concert in our space. And we put posters up all over that suburban neighborhood, that southwest quadrant of the Denver area. By the second day, somebody had gone through and systematically torn all those posters down. You know what we did? We printed twice as many and put those up, and we just kept doing that until the concert happened. We put a banner in front of the building we were renting, and I think as you've experienced, somebody would come and rip those things down. How dare you have a concert with lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual people singing? We just made a new banner and put it up again each day. We tried to put ads in the newspaper, but the newspaper was like, no, we really can't take that. Okay. So with all of these posters up and the banner on the road, and I was in the office of the congregation one day. We were still growing, so I often was the one picking up the phone in those days. And I picked up the phone. You know, it was back in the old days, and we didn't have anything like these phones where you pick up and you have a sense of who's calling. The phone rang. I said, Columbine Unitarian Universalist Church, and there was a pause, and I could hear the traffic in the background, which in those days meant payphone. And there was a pause, and I said, this is the Reverend Joel Miller. And then what sounded like a young woman's voice said, do you believe it's okay to be gay and lesbian? Now I'm thinking about, well, this couldn't be one of our kids, because they would not need to ask that question. And what were the biggest buildings in the neighborhood, and what kind of culture were they trying to set? So I thought, I'm going to use language I think that this young woman needs. And I said, this congregation believes that God loves us whether we're straight or gay or lesbian. And there was a pause, and then suddenly, thank you, and the line went dead. That was it. So that would have been about maybe 1997 or so. So a couple of years went by. A lot of things happened. We had gotten into a new building. We had our own building. We put the bigger banners on the building. We could really kind of go wild. We had a huge rainbow flag on the roof of this building, and you could see it from a major intersection. I guess the people making the harassing phone calls must have gotten bored, because they kind of stopped calling. We were just 2 blocks from the Columbine High School, and there were those shootings at the high school in 1999. And when that happened, I could hear what was going on, and went up and spent the afternoon with families as they met their children coming out of the school with police officers, SWAT team members. And then 2 days after that, I was sitting in the office. At that point, we had an office administrator, and the office administrator knocked on my door. I was making a lot of phone calls, checking on our own kids, making sure that they were okay. We were lucky none of them had been killed or injured, at least not physically. They saw terrible things. And between the phone calls, it was the administrator, and she said, "There's somebody here to see you." And I went out, and there was this young woman, and she had 2 suitcases, old suitcases, and a lot of clothes on. And I said, "Come on in, let's talk." And the administrator said, I'll watch your suitcases. And we sat down, and this young woman said, "You know, I really didn't know where else to come, so I thought I would come here." And I said, "I'm glad you came." And she said, by way of explanation, that she had been kicked out of her home, her childhood home, by her parents, that she had come out to them the day before, knowing she was going to turn 18. And their response had been to say, "Leave, don't come back." She'd anticipated that, apparently, and she said, "I really wasn't sure where to come, but I knew I could come here." And she said, "You know, you saved my life." And it didn't quite make sense in the moment. And she said, "I called you a couple of years ago because I'm a lesbian, and I knew I was, and I was so afraid and so..." She said, "I thought I was going to kill myself. I thought that was the only way to make things okay. But I had seen your posters. I'd seen the phone number for the church about tickets, and I couldn't come, but I knew I could call, and I called, and you were there." And she said, "After I talked to you, I knew I would be okay. You saved my life." I remembered that phone call and nodded. And I said, we talked a little more, and we talked about her beliefs and her theology. She was still very much, her relationship to Jesus was extremely important to her still. And I knew that our congregation was not quite the right spiritual home for her. And I knew I had a Methodist colleague in downtown Denver who I adored and trusted. And I called her up, and she said, "I'll be down. Give me about 15 minutes. It was that day that I realized what we do is we save lives. The banners on our buildings and our roofs save lives. The greeting that we do when people walk in the door saves lives. The religious education programming we have for our children and our youth save lives. And I'm not saying that as, I literally save lives. So when I look at what it means to be your interim minister, what drew me here is that you have that kind of commitment, that kind of dedication. You make that kind of a difference in the world. You've made a difference. You will continue to make a difference. You do so with generosity. You do so with a smile, with easy laughter. You make a difference powerful enough to save lives. You have made this a sacred space, and yourselves within you a sacred space. It is holy work. And I'm glad I get to share it with you for another 18 months. I invite you to sing with me as we close. Number 1064, if you want, it's in the blue or the teal hymnal, or the words will be here on the screen. I invite you to stand in body or spirit as you'd like. in those spaces that sometimes seem hard to carry in their emptiness, there is this light, and the light you share among you. Take it with you in the weeks and days to come, and know that as you share that light with others, as you make a space for love and joy in the world, that if it becomes too heavy or the light too dim, we'll be here. We'll be here again and again. Go in peace, be in peace. See you again soon.
Please stay if you can. We're those that stayed in the room, yay. We're happy you're here, and I have a feeling others are going to be joining us. So 10:30 is our ribbon cutting, and let's see, is Shari here? She just walked out. She went to get everybody. Oh, good. And I think our children are coming, which is very exciting. We're going to need the children in a minute. I just need the order of service for this. Do you have the order of service for ribbon cutting, or does Shari have?
Oh, you know what? I think I covered it up. There we go.
There we go. All right. All right. Thank you. All right. I have to tell you that as you're coming in, Paul Ratzlaff says hello to all of you. Can you hear me? Little bit. Alex, you can't go up anymore? All right. Debbie, can you hear me? Perfect. Okay, super. Our beloved Paul Ratzlaff was our minister for 22 years, and that was his favorite song, Blue Boat Home. And we sang it at his funeral in Brooklyn. So I want to tell you, he's with us. That was a beautiful sermon. Thank you, Joel. Truly, we enter each other's lives and create sacred space all the time. 2 of us, 3 of us, 4 of us, 10 of us. It goes on. And every UU congregation I've ever been to, I've always felt very safe and happy and grateful for the sacred space.
Jerry's going to play gathering music.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, Jerry's going to play for us. And then Joel, you're on.
Even if you know the song.
If the walls could talk, they would tell of music. They would tell of singing. They would tell of weddings and memorials. They would tell of children laughing, and they would tell of visitors coming in, eyes wide, wondering, hoping. They would tell of friends embracing. They would tell of a congregation determined out of hope and aspiration to do something in the world. The sound of the future for which we built these walls and continue to make sacred spaces. Those sounds are with us now. And the legacy that we will be leaving will include people we will never meet. Imagine, you will be saving lives of people long after your lives have come to hopefully a sweet and gentle end. We celebrate today the completion of a roof. It looks great, by the way. It looks really great. I love the cleanliness of the clean look of the dormers. I love the way, I shouldn't admit this, but you have such great leadership around your building. I think I can get away with it here. I worked as a journeyman electrician for a while, so I know a little bit about how buildings work and what construction's like. I loved the work. I watched it being done. I was just like, oh, this is great. So, what will the walls, the roof, what might they be able to say 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now? I know that they will say that we've saved lives, that we've brought smiles to many faces, embraces between old friends who met here. And so, in this moment, we ask blessings on this place, our fellowship, physical home, this sacred space, and the roof, which protects us and protects these walls. May this sacred place be a tool to continue the good work of our helping hands, our loving hearts, our open minds. May this soul space be a safe harbor for all who sail upon the sea of life. May it continue to be a beacon of hope to those who cannot find any shelter in a storm. May this sacred space continue to be a garden rooted into truth, deeply connected with compassion, enlightened by love. May it know the beauty of art and thought and laughter. And may it continue to bring the blossoming of peace, liberty, and justice to this world. We give thanks for the generous people who make this place possible. We are grateful for the continued beauty and benevolence of our existence. We remember that outside the walls of this soul space are those who still need us. They need the shelter of our love and the nourishment of our compassion. We rededicate these walls and this roof to these great purposes and ask for blessings on this, our fellowship home. Amen. So be it. Blessed be.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Laurent Comès, the president. I am so not prepared for today. No, I'm being serious here. No, I want to welcome everyone. This is a big milestone today. So we've always had a roof, but you can't even tell it's a new roof because the same color, which is fantastic, really. Now, this roof will keep us going for at least another 50 years, I guess. Maybe more, right? All right. And I'm a loss of words here. And I want to acknowledge the great people who made this project happen, starting with our project professionals. So not everybody could make it today, but I'll read all the names nonetheless. Bill Slack, architect. Brian Compatore, architect, but he's here. Hi, Bill. Thank you. Rich Marino, a contractor. Mike Zugens, roofing, and James Marshy, who is here. And I'm told James was here every day, rain or shine, mostly shine, right? So I want to invite the Gateways, people from Gateways, and DRW.
I would like the children to come up and help us. Yeah. So we need help holding the ribbon up. And see all these adults here? They're going to cut the ribbon, and you get to take some of this ribbon home to remember this day.
Why don't you get on the other side of it?
Well, I'd like the adults facing this way. So the kiddos are in the right spot. So let's stretch it out. Here we go. Okay, everybody have a piece? Yes. All right. All right, let's open it up. Open up the ribbon so you can see how pretty it looks. There you go. Open it up. There you go.
Watch out, I'm a little loose now. Watch your fingers.
So Gateways has been amazing. They are sticking with us. No one has bailed, which is pretty unbelievable. So our Gateways team, raise your hands. Here's Sandra Persichetti. I screw it up every time. And we have Helene Firm and George Hayes and David Horst and Toby Tyler. And where's Steve? Steve, right behind. So a big hand to our Gateways team. They have been amazing, finding all these talented professionals to come and help us do this great work. And my daughter Kara just said, Mom, it's our kids' new roof. And it is. It's their roof, right? Right. Shari, did you have anything you want to say?
Franklin and I.
Okay, great.
Thanks, maybe.
Well, hello, everybody. It's good to be up here and to be celebrating this day. And I do have some words. So 10 years ago, I was sitting in this meeting room hearing about this project and thinking it was ambitious and perhaps a little nuts. I'm here to tell you that our journey to turn this diamond in the rough. And 10 years ago, if you were here, you will remember, it was rough, into a diamond with oh so much potential to do good, not just for us here in the congregation, but for the community and really for the world. And it's been an uplifting spiritual journey for me, and I hope it's been uplifting for you too. And you can ask, uplifting? We'll remember that early on, we had many late nights in front of the planning board in order to get our plans approved, but they are, and we're executing to them. We had many congregational votes, and they're always fun. We got sued by 6 neighbors trying to stop the project, in which we prevailed in a way that protects us from future litigation. Then we raised the money to pay for this project to date with amazing support from you, our members, our friends, and our generous alumni. We have raised this money, and we have been able to pay cash to date. Look around this meeting room and the existing mansion, and look at all the work we've done, and we have paid cash. And yes, we built the parking lot, and we paid cash. We reimagined the playground and rebuilt it, and we paid cash. We ripped out the failing front oval and the entrance and rebuilt it and paid cash. We replaced the roof in a way that would be cost effective and in a way that we can maintain it, and we paid cash. Right, guys? And we are going to build the addition. We are going to build this addition. And our goal is to do it without debt. So, at the end of the day, we are strong, our future is bright, and the possibilities are endless. So thank you all.
Franklin and I would be remiss if we did not acknowledge that we are standing on the shoulders of a few giants as the current co-chairs of this campaign, starting with Paul Firm and Tanya Van Order back in the original Generation to Generation co-chairs. So thank you, Paul, and thank you, Tanya. If hopefully she's not here, but she's in the library, of course, doing something. But in addition, Kathy Solu then stepped in to be co-chair with Paul. But then we kicked Paul off to go be president-elect, and Franklin and I have stumbled into place, and we're so excited. I will tell you that although everybody's struggling to coming back together after COVID, this place is rearing to go. I am also the chair of the nominating committee, and I think for the first time, before we've even announced the official, these are the 6 positions that are open, I have 4 people who have stepped forward and offered to serve if they are accepted, if they work out to be the right people. I don't think that's ever happened. We are raring to go, folks. With that, I do want to acknowledge that we have some gifts for our Gateways team, and Franklin and I would like to present those to you if you will come up.
These are called self-care repair kits. Some little bubbly to have on a quiet, maybe Sunday afternoon, and some yummy cookies and chocolate. So enjoy. Oh, and open up and see if you can find a special team hat in there. All right, a team hat. Try it out. Yes, you did it again.
And we have some thank yous out to the congregation from our Gateways team as well.
I'd like Laurent to accept this on behalf of the congregation, but would you mind standing? This plaque reads, R.I.P. Old Roof. Very old roof, 1910 to 2020. And this couldn't have happened without you. You held this dream, you held this thought. We've been working on this for 12 years. It's your money that funded this. And so this says, congratulations, you nailed it. And in the corner are old bent copper nails from the roof and a piece of the new shingles. So my friends, this is an incredible journey, and yes, we nailed it.
And now we are going to have a song together, and it's very silly, and I know because I wrote it. But anyway, the first verse will be performed by the group up here. The words are going to be up on the usual place for words and music. Beth will play it through once. The first verse, we will be singing to you. Yes, you are. Yes, okay. Yes. We have a couple of ringers, Paul and I and Beth, and maybe Joel. And then the second verse, we'll all sing together to thank our gateways and our professionals in the back. This second verse is for you. But here we go with the first verse. Cupcakes in the coffee hour space. Enjoy.